The Pokemon Direct dropped just a couple days ago, and I gotta say, I'm cautiously optimistic for Pokemon Legends Arceus. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl look pretty alright too. I didn't care too much about any of the other information that they covered in the Direct. This video will just be about these two, or I guess you could say, 3 games. I'm actually not that knowledgeable in the Generation 4 games. Well, besides Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I played Platinum a couple years ago, but I forgot most of it. This is why I'm thinking of picking the games up in the first place. I, like many, were disappointed with Sword and Shield, and feel like this might be just another yearly Pokemon release. I also wasn't the biggest fan of Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, which were the latest Pokemon remakes. They were fine games, but removing features such as the Battle Frontier and the overall easier difficulty just put me off a bit. It didn't feel like Fire Red, Leaf Green, or Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which genuinely felt different than their original games, and in a good way. They added a lot of features while maintaining good quality. I honestly wasn't expecting the Underground to appear at all in this game, so that is definitely pretty cool, but there's still definitely some room for error in this category. Will other cool places and features return for Pokemon Platinum, like will the Distortion World, with Giratina? Speaking of the Underground though, it's going to be improved. If I do end up getting this, I'll be looking forward to wasting so much time on this. The Pokemon Hideaway idea is also pretty neat. It is a spot where wild Pokemon will appear based on how the player has decorated their base. Other neat little features include decorating Pokeballs, super contest shows, customizing the character's clothing. This is all neat stuff, I agree, but nothing necessarily mind-blowing here. One feature that is mind-blowing to me, though, is Pokemon following the trainer. Yes, I'm easy to please with stupid stuff like this. My favorite thing about the Pokemon games is trudging through the land with cool creatures. In past games, it was always a bummer to see they only really got the screen time during the battles themselves. A simple change like this makes the player's Pokemon feel more like companions rather than little minions that do your bidding. I love this feature in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and I even liked it in Pokemon Yellow when it was specific to Pikachu only. But I gotta complain about something, right? It's the internet, and it's Pokemon! Complaining about Pokemon and the internet go together better than peanut butter and jelly. I am personally not a fan of the chibi models. They're just ugly in my opinion, and I really don't like the proportions. But in battle... Wait, they're not chibi anymore? I almost wish they'd have just doubled down and made them chibi regardless. It's kind of jarring to look at both of the same styles in the same game. It also makes it seem like they're like toys that are coming to life or something. The other complaint that I can think of is the fact that Pokemon might not appear in the overworld anymore. It looks like they will in the secret bases, but it looks like Pokemon may not be roaming in other places like, the routes in the game. Other than that, though, I don't really have many complaints, but at the same time, I don't really have many praises. It just looks like an alright remake of Gen 4. I am very curious to see how they handle the Pokédex, the whole Sword and Shield dilemma. I wonder if they're just going to have Generations 1 through 4 Pokemon, and then call it a day. I'm also curious to see what features they're going to add that were in older gens, but have been removed since. Like, are Mega Evolutions coming back? Is Gigamaxing going to be a thing again? What about Z-moves? Are those just gone? I'm not expecting too much from these games, which is fine. I think I, along with others, expected more to Sword and Shield because it was a brand new generation of Pokemon on a powerful console. I'm just going to take these for what they are. Simple remakes of Generation 4, and I'm looking somewhat forward to them. Not a definite buy yet, but maybe. The Pokemon following their trainer in the overworld is just making me more hyped than it should, though. Here we go. Pokemon Legends Arceus is the big bad boy that I'm very interested in. My personal favorite thing, at least looking from the trailer, is the open space. I was disappointed that Sword and Shield only had one giant area. The rest of the game felt like a hallway simulator. I just want to explore this world and see what's inside of it. Part of me also really likes how the player can just throw a Pokeball at a wild Pokemon before initiating a fight. I like this because it's more, dare I say, immersive. Like, if I was a Pokemon trainer, I'd try this first before getting into the hassle of throwing my Pokemon out there. This happened on the anime too. A Pokemon trainer would just sneak up from behind and throw a Pokeball. It's a simple idea, but I think it's a really cool one. It looks like the combat hasn't changed too much, but I think that the changes are welcomed. Part of me wanted it real time, a la Digimon World, but this is still pretty cool. Besides, the main Pokemon games are clearly going with the Generation 4 remakes, so I think it would have been cool to really try something different here, something out of the box. One thing that I like is the speed change. It's cool to see that faster Pokemon get to move multiple times before slower ones. This kind of change reminds me of games like Dragon Quest XI or Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. There are also 2 styles that the Pokemon can use to enhance a move. The Agile style will allow the Pokemon to use the move quicker, so that it can be shuffled into the turn order quicker. The resulting move will be a bit weaker. Then there is also the Strong style, which will result in a stronger attack, but the Pokemon's action speed will be lowered. One last thing that I wanted to talk about for the combat, but kind of like the Pokemon walking behind you, I'm probably overrating this a bit. I really like how there isn't a specific fighting area. I like how there is no transition. The player throws their Pokemon out and then the battle commences with the wild Pokemon. It just makes everything seem a bit more smooth and quick and I dare say natural. It brings me back to games like Chrono Trigger or again, Digimon World. It was neat to fight enemies on the natural terrain. I'm probably like one of the 12 people that finds this even remotely fascinating. Riding Pokemon is back, baby! It looks like Weirdeer and Basculegion are the only two new Pokemon that are announced. The trailer also shows the player riding both of these two, but I hope this extends to other Pokemon as well. There are also regional forms of Pokemon, such as Braviary and Growlithe. During the trailer, the player is also seen hitching a ride on the Hisuian Braviary, which is giving me Breath of the Wild vibes. There is also the Survey Core, which has the player researching Pokemon. When researching Pokemon, camps will pop up around the world that let the player craft items and rest. The game also features Cyndaquil, which is my favorite starter of all time, damn it. I could definitely nitpick a couple of things here, such as the presentation. While exploring a world full of Pokemon does sound amazing, it does look a bit bare. I get the Pokemon series isn't going to be a looker at this point, but I hope Game Freak can polish it up a bit before release. I guess the only other complaint so far would be that the combat hasn't deviated further than, what it has. As I said before, Pokemon main games will keep going as long as they make Game Freak money. So, probably forever at this point. Since the main series will always be there, I was kind of hoping that the turn-based combat would be gone and that it would stray from the main formula a bit further. Those are pretty much my current thoughts of the upcoming Pokemon games. The Generation 4 remakes are pretty much what I've expected so far, but the following Pokemon is just getting me more excited than it should. I'm much more intrigued about the Pokemon Legends Arceus game though. It is a new direction for Pokemon and I really hope that it pans out. It just seems like Pokemon's gotten pretty stale for the past, decade or so? I hope that Pokemon Legends Arceus comes out a success and a great game in its own right. It could breathe life back into the Pokemon franchise that I and many others are hoping to see. I'll slap these two with the label cautiously optimistic.